Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm gamesplaining Four Gardens. Now Four Gardens is a 2 to 4 player game that came out last year, 2020. The beauty of this game is a tower. That's a three-dimensional tower that lifts up off the table and has a whole bunch of different resources on it. That's the kind of catching thing on this game that looks great because there's something three-dimensional on the table and it's worthwhile kind of looking at it and go, oh, that's really pretty. What you're doing in this game is making a choice. You have a hand of 5 cards. Everything you do is going to cost you a card. So you can put one of the cards down in front of you and for which you're trying to collect the resources. Or you can use one of the cards for one of the icons that allows you to do one of 3 other actions. One of those actions will be to collect something from the tower or collect everything that is showing on your side of the tower from the tower. But it's also saying that you need to turn one of the levels left or right before you take all of the resource. And so what you'll end up doing is if you have to turn the bottom level, you'll be taking all the resources facing the person on your right or the person on your left. So having really good stuff facing you isn't necessarily always the best thing. You kind of want all the really good stuff facing the person next to you so that you can grab that and then take all the resource. When you take the resource in of whatever's on that tower, you're adding that to the cards that you have put down in front of you. So previously, place a card down. You had 3 actions that you can do on a turn. So you might find that placing 2 cards down and then taking the resource is a really good way to go because that'll enable you to put resource onto each of the cards that you've got down in front of you. What you're actually trying to do is get the combination of all of the cards for that resource type. So each resource type needs a different number of cards. I think it goes from 2 to maybe 5 from memory in a line. And there's a little dot thing that tells you which card in the grouping this is. Now you don't have to add 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You can go 1 there, and then a third one here, etc. until you have all of them. That's absolutely fine. You're only allowed to have 3 cards that you're working on at a time face up. Once you've paid the resource, you flip the card over and you have pretty artwork on the back of the card. And so you're then able to get some other cards onto your table to work on. The problem is that once you've emptied your hand out or you've played your 3 cards, you've got 2 cards left, you're selecting from 3 cards that are face up, 1 card that's face down. Now, the 1 card that's face down does have an icon on the back of it that tells you which color this is and which position. So you can actually go after, oh, I need that position, I need that color, so I'll take that card. Once you've taken all the cards, the lineup is refreshed. The problem is that quite often that lineup is the cards that you actually want to use this turn. And you're going to have to wait till that gets to your turn and do something to get those cards to then be able to use. So there's this, oh, that's it. No, I've got to wait for a while to get up to that. It's a little bit, but I understand that within the context of the game. Now, the other elements that you can do is you can move resources around. So if you have, say, 3 resources on this card that needs 4 resources, 1 resource on this one on this one, you're allowed to move the 1 over into this spot to be able to flip that card over. You can keep 4 resources that aren't on the cards. Now, bear in mind that there is an order on that tower that we have to take from. It'll either be go from the top to the bottom or from the bottom to the top. The reason for that is you're only able to keep 4 resources. So if you pick up, say, 3 water as the bottom level and you only need 1 of them, 2 of those are going over into your saved resource. Then you get, say, 3 bricks, for example, and I need 1 of them. 2 of them will go into your extra resource. Now the problem is that you can't keep any more than that, and they stay there until they've been used. So any extras you get are now just lost. They go straight back into the bank, and you don't see them at all unless you're able to put them onto your actual cards. There's an icon that allows you to move things around, so you can move from your bank to the cards, from the cards to the bank, from a card to another card. I believe you're able to move from the bank from your bank to the general bank, the 4 to just get rid of some to clear some out. So that can be a really useful thing to use, and it's really useful to not forget it exists. The other element is just enabling you to take a single resource and put it onto a card. So if there's a resource that you don't actually have, and one resource would fill this card up so you can then do other stuff, that's a worthwhile thing to use at that point. So there's always a way around things. There's always a way to continue to move forward. The way to win this game is to move forward a lot. So have 3 cards out, fill up those 3 cards, flip them all over, get new 3 cards out eventually. It is kind of the essence, I guess, of what we're trying to do. With each row of cards, there are points that will happen, that you will gain if you have achieved that entire row. The more cards are in the row, the higher the points that are on that. And so you find that you're working on this row of 5, but just knocking over these ones for these other rows as well. The game itself feels really comfortable. And that's probably the best way to put this. This is a comfortable game. I've found that a lot of these games from a Chinese, Japanese, Korean, you name it, background tend to just feel comfortable. And this is another one of them. It's not quite as easily comfortable as Lanterns, for example, but it's just there's a comfort that comes with it. I think I wonder is probably the best way to state it. I wonder if that's a social, this is how we play games, so this is how we design games kind of thing going on, that brings some comfort to it. I don't know. I haven't looked into the research behind that or what culturally is happening behind that, but I really enjoy each of the games that I've had come through with that kind of just, they're comfortable games. They just happen, and yeah, they're tight. Don't misunderstand me. This has some tightness to it, but it's still comfortable within the same breath. I think that's really, really good design, to be honest with you. That just feels like you can feel a relaxation coming in as you're playing it. I really appreciate games that have a table presence, and this definitely has a table presence. There's a tower that sits on your table that's kind of 4 elements high. And it's actually a useful tower. It's not just a table presence tower for the sake of having a table presence tower. There is actually a need to have it, because what you've got is you're just seeing one side of that table. It actually says in the rules to make sure you're sitting so you're facing one side, not sitting halfway between, facing direct on one side. Because it's 4 player maximum, 1 on each side works beautifully. Each of the elements in the tower has the exact same setup, so it's 1, 2, 3, nothing is kind of each of the sides in order. And so if you're looking at a side that has 2 of those resource, you know that if you pull the side that's on the left, you'll get 1 resource. If you pull the side that's on the right, you'll get 3 resource. And there's a matter of making the decision, which of these resources is the most important to me. Having a look at what's on your table in front of you. Which resource do I need the most of? Okay, I probably should go for 3 of that particular resource. So once I've done when I'm doing my manipulations, is there a way for me to manipulate that to get 3 of that resource or to get more of that resource? So if we're sitting on 3 of that resource and that's the level that needs to be turned, or level below it, because when you turn a level, everything above it will also turn, everything below it stays the same. If it's sitting on 3 for that resource, I probably need to turn it so that I get 2 of that resource and whatever else comes around at the time. And this tower is going to shuffle throughout the game because you're turning a different level of it. So while the game actually starts with 0, 1, 2, 3 as the way it's built up on one of the sides, and whatever that means on the other side means that the 0 is different sided for each level. So everyone having a slightly different spot that they're turning around and then turning in another direction, or whichever direction they choose to go, is going to shuffle up that tower and what the sides of that tower look like. With the cards, when you turn them over, by the way, they actually create an artwork, and that's really lovely. I don't know of a necessity for that, but I kind of like it. I like that it's there. I like that, I've created an artwork. That's really lovely. Okay, let's push it to the side and move on to the next thing. I really strongly suggest to at least have a look at Four Gardens. I am very aware that when I stand looking at games to purchase, this is one that I was like, oh, really? There wasn't anything that caught me by the artwork on the front of the box that said, oh, this is a game to be played. It feels like there's a bit of meat missing from the artwork. I understand that the artwork is traditional for where it's from and it works okay, it's fine. But there's something about that just kind of doesn't scream to me saying, oh, this needs to be played. I would ignore that and have a look at the game and have a look at the Gamesplanation to see if this is actually a game that you would like. So if you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.